It's a club you literally have to be born into. Hello, and welcome to Moments in History. I'm Linda Shenton-Matchett, author, speaker, and a history geek. While researching my books, I unearth tons of historical information that doesn't end up in my stories, so I've created this channel to share those tidbits with you. Conceived during a White House Historical Association event, the Society of Presidential Descendants is a lineage society composed of individuals who are directly descended from American presidents. Lineage, or hereditary societies, are organizations that honor the role of various ancestral groups. There are more than 80 such groups in the U.S. and include organizations such as Daughters of the American Revolution and the General Society of Mayflower Descendants. According to the organization's website, the idea for the society was conceived during a White House Historical Association event in Washington, D.C., where President Theodore Roosevelt's great-grandson, Tweed Roosevelt, and Massey McKinley, the great-great-nephew of U.S. President William McKinley, and the great-great-grandson of President Grover Cleveland, were in attendance. During their conversation, they discussed the fact that there was no national organization to bring together the descendants, both direct and collateral. That is, related by bloodline, lineage of parents, such as mother or father, but not a direct ancestor. After the event, they continued their conversation and contacted President Lyndon Johnson's daughter, Lyndon Johnson Robb, and President Truman's eldest grandson, Clifton Truman Daniel, about getting together. In 2010, they met with President Hoover's great-granddaughter, Margaret Hoover, and her husband. And the following year added President Ford's daughter, Susan Ford, and President Johnson's youngest daughter, Lucy Baines Johnson. Since 2018, the group has met annually, and according to one source, has amassed 75 direct descendants from 26 presidents. There have been 46 presidents, but some of the lines have died out, and some of the presidents did not have children. In 2021, the group formally created a 501c3 organization and is housed at Long Island University's Roosevelt School, where it has created a three-pronged mission outlined on the organization's website. The first is to foster community. Through national reunions, member spotlights, and intimate gatherings at presidential homes and historic sites, the society cultivates a strong sense of belonging and mutual respect. These events offer descendants the opportunity to celebrate family, traditions, explore their unique place in American history, and reflect on the enduring legacy of public service. In fostering this community, the Society strengthens intergenerational ties and builds a space where history is not only remembered, but actively lived and shared. Promote education is the second. Initiatives, including speaker series, fellowships, curriculum development, and the recognition of outstanding books and articles that illuminate the presidency's ongoing relevance. The Society is also committed to making these educational resources accessible to wider audiences, from students and scholars to history enthusiasts and the general public. The third is to preserve legacy. Through initiatives such as oral history projects, digital archives, historic preservation efforts, and commemorative events, members contribute to a broader national memory. Whether restoring a family home, recording first-hand events, or supporting museum exhibitions, the Society works to protect the personal and cultural heritage of the presidency. In doing so, it affirms the significance of these stories, not as relics of the past, but as vital touchstones that continue to shape American identity, leadership, and democratic ideas. The current Board of Trustees for this Society are Tweed Roosevelt, President, Massey McKinley, Vice President and Chief of Staff, Lyndon Johnson Robb, Vice President, and Clifton Truman Daniel, also Vice President. To be eligible for Society membership, an individual must either be a direct or collateral descendant of a President of the United States. Individuals or students not directly related can join as a friend with limited benefits. Interviewed shortly after the organization's founding, Massey McKinley said, "The Society for Presidential Descendants holds tremendous promise in promoting the legacy of the United States presidency, its unique leaders, and the way these leaders are portrayed in studying their leadership styles. It is my sincere hope that the Society becomes the authority in educating America about each president, their leadership styles, and how civics can play a vital role in the educational endeavor. I'm encouraged about the future of America and its potential for leadership." Lyndon Johnson Robb was also interviewed and commented, "In this time of polarization, I hope that this society can encourage the study of our country's history and how its presidents have influenced it. We look forward to having an impact on the dialogue of what unites us as a country." Clifton Truman Daniel then ended the interview by saying, "I hope that we can, in some small way, help the nation toward, if not unity, at least collegial and constructive disagreement. In the ranks of presidential descendants, historic friendship endures while political rancor fades away." For my research into the organization, I'd say it is well on its way to meeting these goals. As mentioned, the Society is headquartered at Long Island University, where Tweed serves as chairman of the Theodore Roosevelt Institute and the Roosevelt School. A private research university, LIU, was founded in 1926, and it is located in Brooklyn, New York. It offers more than 500 academic programs with over 250 degree programs and enrolls more than 16,000 students. Since 2018, the Society has met annually over President's Day weekend at President Truman's Little White House located in Key West, Florida. Designed in 1889, the duplex was constructed as a naval officer's quarters on the U.S. Naval Station and housed the base commander in Quarters A and the paymasters in Quarters B. In 1911, the building was converted to a single-family house for the base commander. Additional land was filled in front of the house. Eventually, the waterfront view was blocked by the addition of a new building on the station. The first president to use the house was William Howard Taft in December of 1912, prior to sailing to Panama to inspect the canal. Scientist Edward Hayden stayed from 1912 to 1915 so he could conduct hurricane research. Reports indicate that Thomas Edison resided in the house during World War I while he created and tested underwater weapons. The house became President Truman's Winter White House in 1946. After more than 18 months in office that included extensive activities tied to World War II, such as the rebuilding of war-torn Europe, the Palestine question, civil rights issues, labor unrest, and the Cold War, Truman was physically exhausted, and his doctor ordered a warm vacation. Truman arrived in November and returned in March 1947, which set an annual pattern for him, and he spent 175 days at the retreat throughout his presidency. Other presidents to take advantage of the restful nature of the house are President Eisenhower in 1955 and 1956, when he returned to recover from a heart attack. President Kennedy was there in 1961 to meet British Prime Minister Harold Macmillan, and again in 1962 after the Cuban Missile Crisis. President Jimmy Carter was there in 1996, in 2007, and President Bill Clinton in 2005. In 1948, U.S. Secretary of the Navy James Forrestal met with Eisenhower and the Joint Chiefs of Staff to create the Department of Defense in a document called the Key West Agreement. It was the site of international peace talks between the presidents of Armenia and Azerbaijan in 2001. The house served as the Naval Station's commanding officer's quarters until the submarine base was closed in 1974. In February of that year, it was added to the U.S. National Register of Historic Places and in January 1987 deeded to the state of Florida to be held in trust as a public museum. The museum opened in 1991. As mentioned previously, the house is the location of a yearly formal event. But the Descendants are more than colleagues. They are friends, and as such, act as a support system for each other in good times and in bad. The group gathered to celebrate former President Jimmy Carter's 100th birthday, then later to honor his memory after he passed away. In February 2025, Massey McKinley said, "I had a heart attack back in July, and all these friends contacted me and were there for me. So, we're family." According to one source, 44 of the 46 U.S. presidents have had 198 children in total, either biological, adopted, illegitimate, guardianed, or allegedly with slaves. The two presidents who had no children were James Polk and the bachelor James Buchanan. John Tyler, 10th president from 1841 to 1845, holds the record, fathering 16 children, and one of his grandsons, Harrison Ruffin Tyler, is still living, owing to Tyler's marriage to a youthful Julia. Several of our president's children and grandchildren gained national attention through their prestigious activities. John Quincy Adams, son of John Adams, became president in 1835, and George W. Bush, son of George H.W. Bush, became president in 2001. Benjamin Harrison, grandson of William Henry Harrison, also became president in 1889. Two descendants were cabinet secretaries. Robert Lincoln was Secretary of War under Garfield, and James Garfield Jr. was Secretary of the Interior under Theodore Roosevelt. There have been ambassadors, John Eisenhower to Belgium, Robert Lincoln to Great Britain, and Caroline Kennedy to Japan, a governor, Jeb Bush in Florida, a big city mayor, Charlie Taft in Cincinnati. Theodore Roosevelt Jr. was a Medal of Honor recipient for his bravery on the beaches of Normandy on D-Day. Would you like to learn even more history? Please stop by my blog found at www.lindashentonmatchett.com. Thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day.